When I started my journey, I didn't fully understand the game I was playing. Like many people, I chased the idea of success defined by others: wealth, status, titles. But it didn't take long for me to realize that living by someone else's standards wouldn't bring real fulfillment. Life is not about meeting the expectations of others. It's about pursuing what truly resonates with your heart. Success begins when you align your efforts with your passion and purpose. In the early days of Alibaba, we were just 18 people in a small apartment. We had no money, no advanced technology, and no connections. Yet, we had a vision: to empower small businesses and connect people in ways that no one else believed possible. It was a game we chose to play, not because it was easy, but because it was meaningful. Many doubted us, calling us foolish, but we knew the value of playing our own game instead of following the crowd. You see, the key to success is to understand the game you're playing. If you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. This phrase isn't just a metaphor, it's a life strategy. Instead of altering the world to suit your goals, focus on transforming yourself. Once you understand your true motivations and define your unique path, external pressures lose their hold on you. As time passes, your priorities will evolve, and so will the game. In the beginning, my game was survival. Later, it became about building something that mattered. And now, it's about creating a lasting impact. I always tell young people, know the game you're in today, but be ready to change it tomorrow. Growth requires constant reflection on what matters most to you. So I ask, are you playing the right game? Or are you stuck in someone else's version of success? Break free, define your own rules, and don't fear change. When you play a game that aligns with your values and purpose, the rewards, both personal and professional, will follow naturally. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that clear values matter more than any amount of money. Wealth can open doors, but your values determine how you walk through them. I often remind people of a simple truth: if not now, when? If not me, who? These words aren't just about taking action. They're about ensuring that your actions reflect the core of who you are and what you stand for. I recall the early years of Alibaba vividly. Investors pressured us to prioritize profits above all else, but I remained firm. Customers first, employees second, shareholders third. To many, this order seemed irrational, but for me it was obvious. If you care for your customers and your team, financial success becomes inevitable. These principles shaped the foundation of Alibaba and guided us through countless challenges. What you pass on to others is a reflection of your values. I've always told my team that success isn't measured by what you own, but by the impact you create. Future generations won't learn from the size of your bank account. They'll learn from the lessons you teach. When you instill empathy, emotional intelligence, and respect in others, you're building a legacy that will grow in ways you can't imagine. Your values become your anchor during tough times. I experienced failure after failure. 30 job rejections and multiple attempts to get into university all ended in disappointment. Yet, my values kept me going. These failures weren't setbacks. They were lessons that molded me. Looking back, the times I stayed true to my values were the moments that defined my path. Wealth can vanish, but the integrity of your principles will last forever. So take a moment to ask yourself, what values do you want to embody? These principles will shape your decisions, influence your relationships, and ultimately define the kind of legacy you leave behind. With strong and clear values, no challenge can steer you off course. In today's world, the temptation to compare yourself to others is everywhere. Social media, flashy success stories, and constant competition create an endless cycle of comparison. But let me tell you, this is a trap. Real happiness doesn't come from measuring yourself against others. It comes from focusing on your own progress. I remember being rejected by Harvard 10 times. Each rejection could have been an opportunity to feel inferior, but instead, I chose to focus on improving myself. Why should I compare my journey to someone else's? Everyone's path is different, and the only person you should strive to surpass is the version of yourself from yesterday. It's like running a race. Imagine if you constantly looked to your left and right instead of focusing on the track ahead. You'd lose momentum, and worse, you'd lose sight of your goal. Instead of wasting energy on others, channel it into becoming better, smarter, and more prepared for your own challenges. Comparison also creates unrealistic expectations. When we see others' successes, we often forget the struggles that came before. I've faced countless failures, from job rejections to the skepticism surrounding Alibaba's early days. But those struggles taught me resilience and gratitude. Every setback was a step forward when I stopped comparing and started learning. So the next time you feel the urge to compare, ask yourself, am I chasing someone else's dreams, or am I building my own? When you focus on personal growth and learning, you'll find a sense of fulfillment that no amount of competition can offer. Patience and perseverance are the unsung heroes of success. People often look for shortcuts, but there are no overnight victories. I've always believed that success is like planting a tree. It takes time, care, and consistent effort to see it grow. When I started Alibaba, it wasn't easy. I was rejected by almost every investor we approached, and many people doubted we could succeed. But I didn't give up. I knew that persistence would eventually open the right doors. Building something meaningful is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and the journey is just as important as the destination. One story that sticks with me is when I applied for a job at KFC. Out of 24 applicants, 23 were hired. I was the only one rejected. Did I feel discouraged? Of course, but I didn't let it define me. Every rejection became a reason to try harder. Perseverance is what separates those who succeed from those who stop halfway. Patience doesn't mean sitting idly. It means continuing to work, even when progress seems slow. Many people quit just before they're about to break through. But success often comes to those who are willing to wait a little longer and push a little harder. If you're facing challenges right now, remember this: setbacks are not the end. They're just part of the process. With patience and perseverance, you can overcome obstacles and achieve things you never thought possible. Stress is an inevitable part of life, but how you manage it can define your success. For me, stress has been both a motivator and a challenge. The key is learning to channel it wisely and not let it control you. When I was building Alibaba, there were countless sleepless nights. Financial pressures, investor skepticism, and competition created intense stress. But I learned that taking moments to reflect helped me find clarity. Instead of letting stress overwhelm me, I focused on the bigger picture, on the why behind my efforts. Stress can also be a teacher. It forces you to prioritize and make decisions that align with your values. When you're overwhelmed, ask yourself, what truly matters right now? Often, stress comes from trying to do everything at once. Learning to focus on what's essential can transform stress into a source of strength. I've also found that surrounding yourself with supportive people makes a huge difference. My team at Alibaba wasn't just a group of employees, they were a family. Sharing challenges and celebrating small wins together made the stress bearable. It's a reminder that you don't have to face everything alone. So, whenever stress feels like it's taking over, step back and breathe. Focus on what's important and trust the process. Remember, stress is not the enemy. It's a signal to pause, reflect, and realign your efforts. If your identity is tied solely to money, then losing it can feel devastating. This is a lesson I've learned not just from my successes, but from my failures. True identity comes from your values, your purpose, and the relationships you build, not the size of your wealth. When Alibaba started to grow, people began to see me as a wealthy entrepreneur. But I've never let money define who I am. I often tell people, if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. This mindset helped me stay grounded, even as the company scaled to unimaginable heights. Your identity should be like a strong tree rooted in solid ground. Money might be the leaves that come and go with the seasons, but your core, the trunk, must remain steadfast. Building your identity on values ensures that no storm can uproot you. I've seen people who lose everything and rebuild because they have a strong sense of self. Conversely, I've seen those who have all the wealth in the world but feel lost because their identity is tied to material possessions. Ask yourself, who are you without your wealth? The answer to that question is where your true strength lies. Define your identity by what you stand for, not what you own. It's the relationships you nurture, the values you uphold, and the legacy you leave that truly matter. When you build your identity on these pillars, nothing can take it away. Money is a tool, not a measure of personal worth. From my first days at Alibaba, I realized that although money can solve problems, it has never been the real reason behind our motivation. The mistake many people make is to use wealth as a scoreboard of success, trying to impress others instead of building something meaningful. I remember when we first started becoming successful. The pressure to show off our growth was constant, but I decided that our focus would be on using money to improve lives, not to show off power. We invested in technology, employee training, and communities because we knew that was how money should work for us. The constant search for status can be compared to running on a treadmill. The harder you try, the further away the goal seems to be. Happiness lies not in the accumulation of wealth, but in how you use it to make a difference. If money controls your decisions, you are its slave. Throughout my journey, I've learned that the impact we create in the world is the true indicator of success. When we use resources consciously and in line with our values, money stops being an end in itself and becomes a powerful lever for positive change. So the question I always ask myself is, what am I building with the resources I have? If the money you earn doesn't create an impact, it's just an empty number. Turn it into a tool to build a meaningful legacy. Failure has never been my enemy. It has always been my greatest teacher. From a young age, I faced rejection and hardship. I was rejected from 30 jobs, including a position at KFC, and failed several times when trying to get into university. But I learned that each failure brought a lesson and an opportunity to grow. At the beginning of Alibaba, no one believed in us. We were rejected by investors countless times, but each no helped us to adjust our approach and strengthen our resolve. When you understand that making mistakes is part of the journey, it's easier to move forward without fear of trying something new. I always say that when you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. Dreams give us energy and purpose, even in the face of failure. There is no progress without risk, and there is no learning without mistakes. It is failures that shape us and prepare us for the greatest challenges. In Alibaba's culture, we encourage experimentation. We knew that some ideas would fail, but it was this mentality that kept us innovative and resilient. By welcoming mistakes, we create an environment where people aren't afraid to try, even if they know they might fail. The real failure is giving up at the first hurdle. If you want to grow, you need to accept imperfection as part of the process. Every mistake is a step on the ladder to success. In the pursuit of success, it's easy to forget what really matters. When I was focused on building Alibaba, there were times when I sacrificed time with my family and friends. Over time, I realized that achievements are worthless if you neglect the people you love. Success should be a complement to your life, not a substitute for your relationships. I've learned that it's important to make time to celebrate victories with your team, hug your family, and create memories that last forever. These are the things that truly give life meaning. Reevaluating priorities is a constant process. Sometimes you have to stop and ask yourself, am I on the right track? Am I sacrificing something important? When you find balance, you find that work flows better and relationships become richer. At Alibaba, we made a point of creating a culture where people could balance their professional and personal responsibilities. Because at the end of the day, what we take away are not the awards or the numbers, but the moments we share with others. So don't be afraid to reevaluate your choices. True success is living a life aligned with your values and surrounded by the people who make it all worthwhile. Progress is a wonderful thing, but it can easily become a burden. At Alibaba, as we grew, there was constant pressure to surpass what we had already achieved. I discovered that this incessant pursuit can distance us from happiness. When you're only focused on the next step, it's easy to overlook what you've already achieved. It's like chasing the horizon. The faster you go, the further away it seems to be. This can create a feeling of dissatisfaction, even when you're at your peak. Happiness lies not just in making progress, but in finding purpose in what you do. The moment I realized this, I changed my focus. I began to look at the impact our progress was having on the people and small businesses we were helping. This gave me a new perspective. Progress needs balance. You may want to achieve more, but you must also learn to value what you already have. Gratitude is the key to turning material progress into personal fulfillment. So don't just rush to achieve more. Use progress as an opportunity to build something meaningful, and remember to find joy along the way. After all, it's what we do with our achievements that really defines our legacy. Gratitude is one of the greatest secrets to happiness. Looking back, I see that every obstacle faced, every small step taken, and every victory celebrated has shaped my journey. This realization has brought me a deep sense of accomplishment. At the beginning of Alibaba, even the smallest achievements seemed gigantic. I remember the day we got our first international customer. It was a small moment, but immensely significant. Celebrating those steps gave us the energy to keep going, even in the face of bigger challenges. Gratitude also strengthens resilience. When we face difficulties, looking back and recognizing how much we've overcome gives us the confidence to keep going. It's a reminder that if we've done it before, we can do it again. Cultivating the practice of gratitude creates a virtuous circle. When you celebrate what you already have, you attract more positive energy to keep growing. It's a way of keeping your feet on the ground, even when success arrives. So whenever you can, look at your path with grateful eyes. Every step, whether small or large, is a vital part of who you have become. Humility is the key to growth. No matter how much you achieve in life, it is essential to remember that we are all human. That's one of the biggest lessons I've learned along the way. When I founded Alibaba, I wasn't a business or technology expert. One investor even said to me, "You don't know how to be a CEO, someone should take your place." But instead of being offended, I took it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Humility keeps us open to new ideas and perspectives. When we believe we know everything, we stop learning, and that's the beginning of the decline. It was by maintaining a learner's mindset that I was able to overcome challenges and lead effectively. In addition, humility creates real connections. A humble leader inspires trust and respect because they show that they are willing to listen and learn from others. This approach has built the collaborative culture that has made Alibaba so strong. So remember, no matter how high you go, keep your feet on the ground. Humility not only opens doors, but also keeps us on the right path to continuous growth. The quest for always more is a dangerous trap. I've seen people chase after more money, more status, more power, only to feel empty in the end. I've learned that it's essential to set clear limits to our ambition. At the height of Alibaba's growth, I found myself caught in this trap. The pressure to grow never stopped, but I began to ask myself, how far does it have to go? When will it be enough? This reflection helped me to focus on what really mattered. Ambition without purpose turns into greed, and greed is insatiable. It's like drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you get. True freedom comes from knowing what is enough for you and living in line with that. Setting limits allows you to appreciate what you already have. When we stop constantly chasing more, we make room for gratitude, balance, and genuine happiness. It's a reminder that we don't need everything to be complete. So before you go for your next big goal, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Knowing the answer will make all the difference to the kind of success you achieve. True success lies not in what you achieve, but in what you leave behind. Since the beginning of Alibaba, this idea has guided me. I've always asked myself, how can I use what I have to improve the lives of the people around me? Creating a legacy means thinking beyond yourself. It's not about being remembered, but about the lasting impact you can make. At Alibaba, this has meant helping small businesses, empowering entrepreneurs, and creating opportunities where there were none before. A meaningful legacy is built on love, empathy, and purpose. It's about caring for people and creating something that benefits not just you, but society as a whole. I believe that entrepreneurs must have LQ, the intelligence of love, to really make a difference. What's more, your legacy is shaped by the daily choices you make. Every action, every word, contributes to the story you leave behind. Don't underestimate the power of small gestures of kindness and leadership. So ask yourself, what impact do you want to have on people's lives? By creating a meaningful legacy, you not only change the world, you find the true meaning of success.
In a presentation that left the audience deeply impacted, Jack Ma, the visionary co-founder of Alibaba, shared valuable lessons on how to transform the relationship with money and achieve true wealth. With his charismatic style and a combination of humor and depth, Jack Ma explored fundamental issues that challenge the way we see success. He brought up themes that not only inspire, but also provoke practical changes in mindset and daily habits. Jack Ma began with a powerful point: the need to understand the game we are playing. He explained that many people get carried away by goals imposed by society, such as wealth or status, without stopping to reflect on what really matters to them. If you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself, he emphasized, stressing that true success comes from aligning choices with one's own values and purpose. The importance of clear values was also a key focus. Jack Ma reminded us that it's not bank accounts that inspire future generations, but the values we teach. If not now, when? If not me, who? This iconic phrase echoed in everyone's mind, encouraging immediate action and the cultivation of a life based on empathy, emotional intelligence, and authentic relationships. Another striking point was the destructive impact of social comparison. Jack Ma reflected on how this practice can be an emotional trap that undermines happiness. Instead, he suggested seeking satisfaction in personal progress and constant learning. For him, it's not about competing with others, but about surpassing yourself every day. Patience and perseverance were also highlighted. Jack Ma didn't hide the challenges he faced along his journey, including constant rejections and failures. He recounted how he was rejected 30 times from job interviews and even from university. However, it was this resilience that led him to build Alibaba. He made it clear that success is a marathon and that giving up too soon is the most common mistake made by those seeking great achievements. Another profound teaching came with his approach to stress. Jack Ma suggested that stress can be transformed into a powerful tool, provided it is managed wisely. He encouraged the practice of moments of reflection and prioritizing what really matters in life. For him, finding balance is essential to maintaining a strong and resilient mindset in the face of challenges. Jack Ma also challenged the audience to think about their identity beyond money. If your identity is based on wealth, the loss will be devastating, he said, showing how building a solid foundation and values can protect against emotional instability. He provoked listeners to reflect. Who would you be if everything were taken away from you today? In addition, he addressed how money should be seen as a tool, not a scoreboard. Comparing the incessant search for status to running on a treadmill, Jack Ma explained that chasing external approval is exhausting and empty. He suggested using financial resources to improve quality of life and create positive impacts on society. With inspiring stories from his own life, Jack Ma emphasized the importance of embracing imperfection and mistakes. He revealed how failure was an indispensable teacher on his journey and encouraged the audience to adopt a mindset of experimentation. For him, failures are not the end, but the beginning of new opportunities for learning and growth. Throughout the presentation, Jack Ma took the audience on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. He invited the audience to constantly reflect on their priorities, their dreams, and their contribution to the world. His words were a powerful reminder that true wealth lies not in money, but in the impact we create in the lives of others and in fulfilling a greater purpose. Now that you've explored Jack Ma's transformative insights, the real question is, how will you apply them? From understanding the game you're playing to embracing failure, using money wisely, and redefining priorities, these lessons have the power to reshape your life. Jack Ma's wisdom reminds us that true wealth is more than financial success. It's about values, purpose, and impact. Start by reflecting on your journey. Are your efforts aligned with what truly matters to you? Can you turn challenges into stepping stones for personal growth? Take a moment to focus on your relationships and the connections that sustain you. Use your resources to create meaningful change, and above all, cultivate gratitude for every step of your journey. These are the foundations of a life well lived. What resonated most with you? Share your thoughts in the comments and tell us how you plan to apply these lessons. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to keep learning and growing. Be sure to watch the next video. Change your mindset. The path to abundance and success for more inspiration from Jack Ma.